I have the pleasure of getting to interview two friends of ours. This is Pete Wynter, who you might recognize from 2 o'clock when he was up here introducing himself in St. Paul Hammersmith. And this is Karen Sturrock, who is from Vineyard 61. So I just have a couple questions that I wanted to ask both of them. The first one's this: what are your initial reactions to the research?
Well, we were fortunate enough, I should let you know, to have a sneak preview of the report, so I wasn't scanning it during the last talk. I love it, wherever Joe is. Thank you so much, Joe, for the research that you've done and for the way that you've put it together. I think it's a great resource. I think it's provocative to us as church leaders, and I think it's incredibly encouraging as well. It really encourages us to think about what people are thinking and how we can help them to think differently about being a disciple.
That's great. What about for you, Pete?
Yeah, totally agree. In the sense of the provocation of it, isn't it? There's a sort of provoking, okay, how am I going to do in those three things? And really helpful kind of framework, those 3 Ps, which obviously comes through the whole report as well. I think, so many things that struck me. I think one thing, just to name one thing, would be the people thing. And just the importance of, we were talking on our table about time and having time with people. And I know in my life, I've probably grown most as a disciple, probably in the more kind of what I'd describe as core, those kind of prayer triplet. I'm in a prayer quad, 4 of us, but we've sort of met together for 14, 15 years, and that journey, I think, has been one of the most deepening in terms of a discipleship journey. And it's, much as the celebrations and the big moments we have in here, they're all awesome, but I think that has helped me grow massively. So I really resonate with the people thing and the need for interaction, engagement at a kind of a smaller level.
Yeah, that's really, really significant. Okay, and you can decide amongst you who wants to go first, and I'll try to, channel my inner Oprah in this moment. How are you, or will you begin to tackle this in your own churches?
There's so much in there, isn't there, that we can take away. And it's great, as you said, just being on the tables and being able to talk with each other about what it is that we can do, what we are doing. We've got a lot to learn. But one of the things that we do that I love is something called This Time Tomorrow. And our purpose in doing this is to provide a 10-minute slot once a month on a Sunday morning where we talk to somebody in the congregation about what they will be doing this time tomorrow. And the idea is that whilst we want them to take God into their workplace, what we're trying to do in that slot is get them to bring their workplace to God. So in those 10 minutes, we ask them, what will you be doing this time tomorrow? And often they're just answering emails. But sometimes they're doing something more exciting than that. But it's a broader opportunity to talk about their role. And we ask them questions around, what are you facing? What are the challenges you're facing in your sector? How do you share your faith, if you do share your faith in the workplace? And how can we pray for you? And then we ask them generally to get people who are in a similar sector to stand up in the room and get them to pray. So sometimes we're praying for teachers, sometimes we're praying for people in the creative industries, we might be praying for people in health, all sorts of things, but it's a really practical way that we try to say to them, your everyday lives matter to God, and this is how you might see him at work in your workplace.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that, bringing kind of Jesus into where they are. What kind of difference have you seen it make in your church?
I think the people within our church then have that penny drop moment when they think, oh, the stuff that I do on Sundays and the stuff I do in my small group, I can do at work. And so then we have stories of people praying for a colleague or sharing their faith or inviting them to Alpha. And it's not rocket science, is it? But it just gives that helpful illustration once a month. And I think as a church, it shows our congregations that we value what it is that they do in their everyday lives.
So what are you doing this time tomorrow? Brilliant question. That's fantastic. What about for you guys, Pete, here at St. Paul?
Sort of love that. It's great. I think for us, we're currently in a space now, so we'll let you know how it goes in a few months' time. But to let you know where we're up to so far is, I think we've definitely seen the impact of the Quiet Revival, some of the stuff going on, and lots of new Christians, lots of people who've not got any backgrounds, don't have the faith journey, and therefore sort of don't have biblical understanding as such. So, and although we've sort of seen that growth, we've recognized the need to kind of drive small in order to strengthen the growth of the big. And so we've sort of been seeking to do that. So we talk about 4 C's, if that's helpful. I could do a little whiteboard moment, I haven't got it, but we talk about sort of four kind of, I guess, sociological sizes that people engage with that will help them grow in their faith. First one is celebration. So that's kind of what we do in here on Sunday, and that'll be hundreds of people gathering. And I think we need that, the festival moments, we see that in Scripture, that kind of uplifting, faith building, kind of, and hearing sort of preaching from the front, those kind of things. But that does some good discipleship, but there's more than just the celebrations. You've got celebration. Next one we talk about is connect, and we talk about that more at kind of the size of up to about 70, where you can actually get to know the people in that room. And so the way we structure that is what we call city shaper networks, and those are networks that are built around people's workspaces. So similar thought to that, although not your a testimony thing, which is great. It is kind of, there are networks of people in politics, people in arts and education, people in, all the different spheres, education, I've said that already, but all the different spheres, business, finance, there's a science and tech one. So there are different kind of networks where people can collaborate and think about, how do I make a difference? How do I be a distinctive Christian in my workspace? And they're doing that at that level and getting to know more people. Then we talk about community. And of course, you get community in the celebration and the connect stuff. That funnels you to community. But community is like the life groups, which a number of you will probably already do. That's the kind of life groups. Or we don't just limit it to life groups, which is more traditional sort of Bible study together. But it would be like men's workout or other things as well, which are kind of groups of 7 to 17, that kind of size, where you're doing life with each other. You're in each other's lives. You miss each other when you're not there. And so you're engaging in proper community. And through that place growing. But the whole point of that is to get to the final fourth C is core, which is the kind of 2 to 6 people. And often we don't really structurally do that in our churches. We might encourage it like a prayer triplet or something, but we are now structurally encouraging that, which is different to those other C's. So people can still be in a life group, but we've sort of just written some material called Awaken 50, which is like a 50-day journey to provoke people into exactly what Joe's research. So your research is really helpful because it's going to help us launch Awaken 50. Because essentially that provokes people into much deeper committed relationship, one-to-one, learning from each other, and it introduces them to a whole bunch of spiritual practices. So through that, they'll learn about generosity, they'll learn about fasting, and they'll learn about daily Bible study. And it's kind of a 50-day journey and process that's quite high bar, but we are hoping that at least half of our church will engage in that, and that will provoke a core of people who are beginning to experience the goodness of much smaller space discipleship, life-on-life stuff, and learning the rhythm of having 50 minutes a day with the Lord and having to make time for that. And then we're going to support that with a sort of sermon series. But we want to embed that in the life of our church.
That's incredible.
To get a lot of this research embedded in what's happening.
So I'll ask you the same thing. I mean, I know you said you're just at the beginning, but what kind of maybe changes are you already starting to see, be they small or big at this point?
Yeah, we've sort of piloted it with a number of groups, and I think relationships have gone deeper. So one guy was sharing at the launch night of it. He had only been in the church like a month or something when somebody said, "Hey, shall we do an Awaken 50 group together?" And it was just 2 or 3 of them, three or four of them, and they got together. And it includes them meeting together and sort of high accountability each week. And he said, it's just been amazing because I've learned so much. It's all designed around how do you live out the fullness of the Spirit in your everyday life. So again, it's very applied to, okay, what am I going to do today? How am I going to activate this in my work when I'm at the kind of the water cooler or in my workstation? What am I doing with that? And he said it's really embedded his faith in his everyday life and embedded depth of relationship. So again, although he was nervous about joining what was a larger group, church, he's been in church before, he was nervous about joining a larger church. His sense was that actually built a very deep community very quickly. And so that's a big advantage for that, because then people get rooted in real life. And I think we've got a chance to grow then.
Yeah, I love this. I just think that, I feel like from what you guys are sharing, from what Joe was sharing, there's just that sense of Jesus in everyday life, not just Jesus in one day of my week, not Jesus in maybe 2 days if I'm lucky, but every day, how is he coming in? Thank you guys so much.